What's up, everyone? Welcome to Bravo and Blaze with Jenny Blaze. Today, we're going to talk about the current Bravo TV lineup. I'm doing this week's episode a day early. Well, I'm recording a day early because tomorrow I'm interviewing an attorney to discuss the Diddy case. For those of you who are as unhinged and invested as me, you may know that Diddy has requested bail again. Today he had a court appearance. He was not granted bail, and we have so many questions to ask. So make sure you tune in for that episode. Before we get into it, as a disclaimer, I want to remind everyone that this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Let's all try to be cool, not all like uncool. We are just chatting and trying to have a good time. We are not here to intentionally harm anyone, and by no means use this platform as an avenue for bullying. And anything said is alleged. This is an independent, self-produced podcast, so if you try to sue me, you will get nothing because I have nothing. Joke's on you. If you are not following us on social media, make sure you do so. We are at Bravo and Blaze on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitch. We are at Jenny Blaze on YouTube. We live tweet on Twitter during new shows. Tweets are included in Instagram stories, but oftentimes I put a lot more in Instagram stories than I do on Twitter. For example, all this Diddy stuff. I had to even create little highlight buckets for all the Diddy stuff. It's like Scandal all over again, but way worse. If you are following on social media, you may have seen me post about an upcoming live digital premiere of Across the River and Into the Trees. This movie is based off of Ernest Hemingway's last full-length novel starring Liev Schreiber and Josh Hutcherson. If you buy tickets to this live digital premiere on October 19th, you not only get to watch the movie virtually with the cast, but you will also join an exclusive interview with Matilda De Angelis and Paula Ortiz, who also star in this film. You'll be able to hang out, have your questions answered, win props and prizes, and participate in the live Q&A. So make sure you go get your tickets now. The link to purchase is in the show notes, and I am letting you know that I earn a commission on a portion of each ticket sale. And I'm telling you this because I believe it is required by the FTC. And with all this cracking down on Diddy and the rest of the media world, I just don't want to give anyone any reason to come for me. Sweating a little bit thinking about Diddy. Like, I'm just so disturbed. If you're a podcast listener, please note that we have visuals over here on YouTube for you to look at. However, I will do my best to describe what we're looking at for those of you who are multitasking while listening to this podcast. The audio podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. To help support Bravo and Blaze, make sure you subscribe, follow, share, like, comment, leave a 5-star review. Also, make sure to check out Bonded by Bravo's latest podcast with yours truly as a guest. We had a lot of fun, and I keep wondering if I regret anything I said, but oh well, it's out there. So go check it out. Also, as a reminder, we are rewatching The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, season 4, every Monday on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Bravo and Blaze. And I'm starting to give my weekly thoughts on season 5 on Patreon because we can't fit everything in these weekly updates. We have a full lineup on Bravo TV, finally. So why don't we go into it? We have The Real Housewives of Potomac, season 9. That premiered on Sunday. Below Deck Sailing Yacht, season 5. That premiered on Monday. Real Housewives of New York, season 15. We're on the second episode. That's on Tuesdays. Wednesdays, we have The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. We're on season 5, and we're only on episode 4. The Real Housewives of Orange County is on Thursday. We're a little bit more into the season, but let's get into it. Okay, Real Housewives of Potomac, Season 9, Episode 1, A Crash Course in Deflection. As news spreads of Karen's car accident and DUI charge, the ladies rally around her, but not without asking a few probing questions. Wendy closes an important chapter in her life. Ashley meets with a lawyer to finally take the next steps towards divorce. Mia navigates co-parenting with Gordon, but her unique family dynamics lead to a big conflict. Oh my gosh. The premiere was, I don't know, I'm not like that into it. Black by Jax and I were chatting and I didn't realize that she didn't finish last season either. So I don't feel as bad. But it's unfortunate. Obviously the main thing for this season, I think, is the main storyline is Karen's DUI. And somebody asked me in DMs, like, how come Karen's DUI is not as big of a deal as Shannon's? And I think, I don't know if this is true, but from my perspective, I think it's because Shannon, we have that video of Shannon driving into that building or that house. And we also saw her behavior after, and she was also injured. And we kind of all saw her unhinged and the whole Johnny J like relationship falling apart. Like you could see it coming, right? So I think that was like everyone was paying attention so much because it was like, oh man, we knew this was coming. Like this is wild and it looked really, really bad. Karen's was not as publicized, I feel like. Like we didn't see the damage. And I don't even think they showed it that much on the episode. It was just like, I don't know. And I also haven't been like following closely on social media, but I guess it was a pretty bad accident. I think Karen's being charged with like multiple charges. I don't want to speak on the details of that because I didn't look into it that much, but Karen is just shutting it down. They're asking her, but she's like, you can read. And honestly, like, I kind of love that answer because she really shouldn't talk about it. They know that. But also, like, they kind of have to ask about it because it's like, hello, what's going on? But they were very supportive. Ashley got her some Uber gift cards. It's like shady. But Wendy, Wendy closes an important chapter in her life. She finally resigned from being a professor, and that's a big deal, I guess. I thought she did. I don't know. But Ashley meets with a lawyer to finally take the next steps towards divorce. I am tired of hearing about this divorce. I really don't want this to be a storyline anymore. Please get divorced, Ashley. If you don't get divorced this season, I'm done. I'm done with you. And I don't want that to happen because we are forehead sisters. Somebody said I look like Ashley Darby once. I was like, really? My forehead? Okay. Is it burned? Just kidding. I love my forehead. And I know Ashley loves hers too. Moving on. Okay, Mia. Oh my gosh. Mia navigates co-parenting with Gordon. Mia has a new man. What's his name? Ink. The only thing I really know about Ink is that he's short. They keep making fun of him. I feel bad. I wish that was the only thing that we could make fun of or like make jabs at towards Mia, but unfortunately, they're talking about the paternity of one of her children, and it's kind of too much for me, a little bit. I mean, nothing's too much for me. Like I love true crime, but for Real Housewives, it feels like a little too intense. I feel bad for this child. This doesn't feel like it should be. a storyline. I don't know. I need to know what you guys think. Let's move on to Below Deck Sailing Yacht, Season 5, Episode 1, Ibiza, baby. Yeah, I said Ibiza. I hate saying that. I really do. But like you have to, I guess. I want to say Ibiza. It sounds cute like Ibiza. Ibiza sounds not as cute. The episode description is Captain Glenn and the Parsifal 3 team are back in action for another sizzling season, sailing the high seas and cruising the buzzing nightlife of the biggest party island in the world, Ibiza. Oh my God, I'm laughing at myself. Okay, Gary and Daisy try to work through the resentments that bubbled up between seasons while the new crew members get feisty and flirty. After the charter guests come aboard and luxuriate in a majestic sail, the first dinner of the season looks likely to capsize when Chef Cloyce, like Rolls-Royce, but Cloyce, can't keep up with the guests' individual requests. So, okay. Ibiza. We're in Ibiza. Whoever wrote this episode description is very passionate, and I appreciate whoever's writing the Below Deck Sailing Yacht episode descriptions because that was kind of fun. Like they use a lot of words that got me excited, and they use like alliteration, sizzling season, sailing, the high seas, and cruising, the buzzing. Like, oh my gosh. I love it. So let's see. Captain Glenn. Oh my gosh. Captain Glenn called himself a little guy in this episode, and I really did not like it. People like loved it and were commenting. They're like, oh my God, it was so cute. I'm like, no, I don't like that. Please don't say that about yourself. It made me feel weird. I didn't like it. But I love Captain Glenn, even if he's a little guy. Oh man, gross. Gary is on this season, and I'm very confused because I thought he was fired. I didn't look into the whole scandal when it happened because I think it was like during Scandal actually. But I have dismissed Gary in my mind for years now. It's been 2 years. BravoCon 2022 in New York City. It was Friday night after the Bravos at an after party. I didn't like Gary his first season on Below Deck Sailing Yacht. His second season, I did wind up liking him because I'm like, oh my God, he's changed his ways. He's using this platform to better himself. He's improving. I love that. Like, that gives me a boner. I love to see that in a man. But then he went backwards and I didn't like him anymore. But I was still like, you know what? Let me give him a chance. We talked in DMs a couple times about him coming onto the show, but then like BravoCon came up. So whatever, I see him and I'm like, oh, hey Gary, I'm Jenny Blaze. And he's like, oh yeah, hi. And actually he kind of blew me off now that I think about it in the DMs. So I was just approaching like friendly. I wasn't like mad at him for blowing me off, but I was like, oh, I can connect with him finally. And as we're talking, he was very like sweaty. He's very short and he looked very greasy. And Jason Cameron showed up. Like I saw him in the corner of my eye and I was like, I stopped for a second because it like threw me off. I was like, oh, I didn't know my friend was going to be here. And Gary got so mad that I got distracted. He goes, oh, that's how it is, or something like that. And he like just literally turned his back to me and walked away. And I was in such shock that I yelled, Gary. I didn't realize that I was at the decibel that I was at. And I noticed people started looking at me. So I was, and I think Gary even turned around like, oh, and I was just like, whatever, fuck off or something. I don't know. I was like, bleh, you're done in my eyes. We're over. I don't care. So yeah, that's my experience with Gary, and I don't know why he's on the show. I think he sucks. But I hope this is the season where he gets fired, I guess, right? I hope I get, I don't know. I wish Below Deck would tell us what the rules are because they had one season with a guy named Peter who they completely edited out of the season after he like did something. I don't even think he did it on camera, but like Gary has done stuff on camera and we still keep seeing him. Why? Anyways, these first charter guests are none other than Dr. Contessa. I love seeing Contessa. I actually met her at the same BravoCon 2022, and we did an interview together. So go check that out. Love her. And I love that we got to see this group for the first charter. Unfortunately, Daisy made a little bit of a mistake by giving options to the guests when it came to dinner because the Chef Clois, not Rolls Royce, but Clois, he is very young. But he's very well trained and he has told us all about it. They already kind of like touched base. How do you like to run service? And he specifically said, like, this is not like an a la carte menu type of situation. Like, obviously, they will accommodate dietary restrictions and yada yada, but they prefer, or at least the chef prefers, to cook the same thing. It's much easier, obviously. But also at the same time, you're paying that much for a chartered yacht. Should you be able to just be like, why can't I like customize my dinner? Actually, when they came out and started giving options, I was like, I want all of those things. I like when I go out to eat, I like to try as much as possible. I want like a sampler of the whole menu. Just give me a bite of each little thing. So I want to taste it. I don't like having food jealousy. Like when you go to a restaurant, you order something, someone orders something else, you get your food, and what you got is like, I guess it's okay, whatever, but you're just looking at the other plate like, damn, I wish I ordered that instead. So yeah, chef is having a rough time due to this customization of the menus. And I think it just is a to be continued. So we'll see how that ends up. I did a poll on Twitter, asked you all, is this chef going to be nice or is this chef going to be scary? The majority said scary. We will see. We will see. He's definitely cocky. He's like, oh, let me know if you need help folding laundry. Whew, okay. Let's move on to The Real Housewives of New York, Season 15, Episode 2. You can run, but you can't ride. The episode description is Erin and Sai pick up the pieces after Bryn's explosive party. Erin opens up about issues in her marriage, and Jenna bonds with her son. While Uba struggles to let her guard down, the ladies take off for their girls' trip to the Hamptons. Okay, Aaron and Sai pick up the pieces after Bryn's explosive party. I'll be honest, like I don't really watch, I can't pay attention to this show because it feels so fake to me. And I mean, not everyone, but I do feel like Aaron and Sai are very fake. They didn't even mention Jessel. I love Jessel. Jenna's okay, but I feel like she might be a little overhyped. And Uba is like, I think she's overhyped about herself. I don't know what to think about Uba. She's kind of like hit or miss sometimes, but I don't know. I said this on the Bonded by Bravo podcast that I think Erin is playing the cliche housewives playbook. handbook, whatever you want to call it. I think she came on the show to get divorced. I think they were setting it up in last season, season 14, their first season. They did the vow renewal. I mean, that's a kiss of death. I think she's familiar with Housewives, and I think she knows how to play this game, and I think this is her way to get out. We'll see. What else? I don't know. I don't really have much to say about this. Let's move on. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 5, Episode 4, The Epiphany. On day 2 of the Milwaukee girls trip, the women rally around Brittany. Lisa makes her own plans for the day. Heather tells Whitney about the Prism rumors. I'm sorry, but Prism sounds like a cult. Is that the name of her business? Is that the MLM business or what is Prism? Anyways, causing her to clash with Meredith. Relationships are tested at a motorcycle-themed dinner where Lisa and Angie attempt to hash out their issues until Lisa crosses the line. Brittany makes an announcement about her relationship and questions Brownwyn's true motives behind marrying an older man. Bronwyn. Oh my gosh. And Bronwyn wore the hot dog dress. I talked about the hot dog dress in one of my lives, I think my last live, and I said, like, I get some of these looks do look very couture, but the hot dog, I feel like it's only couture if she wore it to a baseball game. And like they were in a suite at a baseball game or like a baseball conference. Baseball conference. I don't know, something related to baseball or 4th of July. It's just, I mean, I guess a drag show is another appropriate place. Does she wear her looks more than once? Were the pictures from that night? Or does she wear this outfit often? I need to know now. I think I might DM her. I really want to know. Okay, so they're in Milwaukee. Heather is annoying as always. Lisa, we're gonna have to deep dive this a little bit more on our Patreon episode, but Lisa and Angie are just like stressing me out because I feel like my parents are fighting. Like it's too much for me. And this episode is the first time that I felt like, wow, it's very difficult to be a Lisa Barlow stan right now. But she's fighting. She's still in the game. Whitney, oh my God. I actually kind of feel bad for Whitney. She seemed genuinely like I need to know now, where does she get her necklaces and why is the stock photo from Alibaba the same as the photo on her website? I think we need a little bit more of an explanation. And who was the account that pointed that out in the first place? Because they mentioned it on the show. Lisa, she's so funny. She thought curling was like working out or something. She didn't know what they were doing. But actually, I would have wanted to go curling over the beer cave because I don't drink alcohol. So going there would have been no fun for me, I feel like. And I always talk about curling whenever it's on. I'm like, how do people get into curling? I want to know the stories of how everyone started curling, the people in the Olympics. And then I want to see someone be like, I think I want to try to do that. And then actually just like start at any age and be like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to become an Olympic gold medalist in curling. And I want to see it happen. Make it happen, somebody. So what else happens here? Meredith. Meredith gets a lot of heat, but Meredith also was a little messy by bringing up the Alibaba on camera. But also, she didn't even say anything to Whitney. Heather's the one that brought it up. Heather just bothers me. I have so much to say, but we don't have all the time in the world. So let me move on to Brittany with her D-list Osmond brother who lives on Osmond Lane, grew up as an Osmond, and make sure everyone knows he's an Osmond when he walks into a room. Like, ugh. Can you imagine? This man sounds so hideous and grotesque. I don't care what he looks like. Ugh. But at least Brittany was like, no, we're done, even though she didn't talk to him. So she's playing like childish games where you send a text like, we're broken up. And then you want them to start calling you and everything. You're like, no, I'm done. And you just ignore so that they keep going. And then finally, we see in the next episode, the D-list Osmond comes crawling back to Brittany, but he's so rude to her. And the way that I think he like went on social media or he DM'd someone. Maybe it was Bravo and Cocktails. I swear I saw something on social media where he was like, that was just my friend, or I don't know. He was like just talking smack about Brittany, and it made me disgusted. But Brittany got some points for me this episode because while her relationship in that moment was an easy target, Bronwyn, Brownwyn, she jumped on it. She pounced on it. And I take note of things like that. I don't like to see, or I don't like to jump on someone when they're already down. And it kind of felt that way from Bronwyn, or like, I don't know, maybe she just seemed kind of arrogant in this moment. Like, oh, are you sure you just like him? Like maybe she was projecting her own insecurities because she's like, do you really like him? Or do you just like him because he's an Osmond? And it just like, girl, you just opened the gates for Brittany to attack. And she did. She goes, why don't you worry about your own marriage? Whoo! Okay. And then you could see Brown Wind seemed verklempt. Is that the word? She seemed a little flustered. I was like, wow, Brittany, okay. But I don't know, the way Brown Wind was defending her marriage, it sounded like she was saying all the right things, like all the right words, but the feeling of it didn't feel like she was adamant about it. There was no conviction behind it. I don't believe it. And I'm not saying that she's lying, but the way it came off felt very insecure. She's like, yeah, well, what? Because my husband's older, I'm not attracted to him? Like, yeah. I feel like that might be the case, but whatever. So let's move on. Okay, I just watched Real Housewives of Orange County, season 18, episode 14. I don't have the full episode description. I don't even know what the episode is called, but I'm gonna go through. It's actually a pretty good episode. It was a lot. And Shannon also was just on Watch What Happens Live. And okay, let me go through this. I don't know. Oh my gosh. I think Shannon might actually owe John Jansen now after watching this episode. I didn't know that the way that she described how things went down, it sounds like he did expect that it was a loan, and he even sent a promissory note a couple days later. Ah, that's not good. But okay, so at least Shannon said she would pay him the money though. Like, why wouldn't he just take the money? I can see Shannon being like, "Oh my God, you're supposed to be my boyfriend, and what's the big deal?" Which is kind of crazy, but I can see that. But yeah, okay. And then he sues her, which he's entitled to do if he really thought, like this was a loan. And she offered to pay him the money, but he wouldn't take it. That's the part where I'm like, why? Why not just take the money? Hmm. But then the smoking gun on tonight's episode is that Jugs, Jesus Jugs, she tried to act like she had nothing to do with the first lawsuit against Shannon from Jim Bellino. But Shannon pulled up some receipts, an old text where Alexis said directly to Shannon, we, her and Jim Bellino, are going to sue you. Basically. It's not exactly what it said, but so now Alexis Jugs, J Jugs, she she is making herself look really bad. This is not good for her. God, I feel like John Jansen is winning this episode. God damn it. I hate him. Ugh, anyway, so this episode they go to London. Shannon announces herself as the Duchess of Corona del Rey. Tamara actually said something funny. She said hashtag late in London for Shannon, and I loved it. I'm here for it. Katie goes, we need to dust the dew off the lily, if you know what I mean. Yo, Shannon gave everyone Burberry scarves and a trip to London. I love it. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, they go on this boat ride, and I swear to God, as soon as I saw the red coats that they had to put on, I was like, oh, hell no. This is not a luxury, casual, leisure boat ride. I'm thinking yacht. Or like the worst case scenario, I was thinking like a touristy boat with other, pedestrians. But that's not what it was. It was like a full speedboat. They had on these red coats for safety. It looked very chaotic. Emily loved it, of course, and Tamara. I just right away when I saw the jackets, I'm like, this is not gonna be good. It's just not my thing. Gina was talking smack about Jen and Katie getting glam. And every time she talks smack like that, all I feel is jealousy. She is such a hater. She wishes she had glam. And it looks like she actually tried with her looks, but they weren't hitting for me. Sorry. Sorry, Jean. Jeanster, China. Her China. Ugh. When they showed the beginning part of them going to dinner, like all the shots of London at night, it just felt very sexy to me. And I was like, I want to go to London. I haven't been to London in like 15 years, maybe 16 years, but I had fun in London. That was before I had children. The good old days. Oh my gosh, I cried this episode when Katie shared her story about her birth mom and her adoption. She's going to Korea. She talked about it on our show when we had her on. When was that? Like a week ago? I don't even know anymore, but go check out the rest of her story. I cried. I almost cried during our interview when we were recording. I I held it back. But then when I actually watched the episode, I cried. Shannon's birthday dinner is so chaotic. Number one, first chaotic thing is when they bring out the smoking chicken dinner, the entree. Literally, there's just smoke coming up at this table while they're arguing. Heather is mad at who is she mad at? Is she mad at Shannon? I don't know. Somehow she made things about herself, and Gina and Jen were like, what the hell? And Jen Pedranti calls out Fancy Pants, and I just love her so much. She might be my new favorite. One of my new favorites. I can't pick just one. She's she's in the top five maybe right now. I don't know. I can't push anyone out. It's like picking your top 8 on your MySpace page. Never. Never. What else? Oh yeah. So at this dinner, I don't even know. Tamara starts going at Shannon too, and it just feels rude to me. I don't know if I would be starting fights with people on their birthday dinners after they flew me to London and bought me a Burberry scarf. Gosh, these people are so nasty. Poor Shannon. It makes me feel so bad for her. Maybe they're doing it on purpose to make people feel bad for her. Why? What was the reason? It just seems so unnecessary. Shannon, when she storms out, Shannon storms the door, storms out of her birthday dinner. She has to go around this it's like, I don't know, these panes, these like slats that are like a room divider that separates the elevator. So Shannon has to wait there while they're talking about her. She's like, I can hear you. They're like yelling back and forth. Tamara starts to laugh and she's like, oh, you're laughing at me. You're laughing at me. Emily's like, you look like you're in jail. I was like almost crying. And I was just thinking, oh my God, if I was Shannon, I would have told them to wrap up all the food for me. Oh my God, I'd be so pissed. I'm glad that Gina went after Shannon. Poor Shannon's always just like sitting outside by herself and like nobody's with her. But that's when Shannon showed Gina the text from Jugs. You're busted. This season has been pretty good. I highly recommend season 18, Real Housewives of Orange County. Before we go, I want to give you all a list of what to watch outside of Bravo. We have Ali Wong's comedy special, Single Lady, on Netflix. She's so funny. She's like, divorce is fun. She's great. Nobody Wants This on Netflix. It's a rom-com series that just got picked up for season 2. That's fun. Also on Hulu, Only Murders in the Building. That I just recently became a fan. I didn't know it was so good. But I don't like watching it slowly. I'm like, I'm caught up. So now I have to watch it as a slow drip once a week, and I hate that. So I'm impatient. But also, Bravo did show this show, House of Villains, but it's actually going to be airing on E! Every week. I think it's going to be on Thursdays, actually. So check that out because Teresa is hilarious with New York. Jax was on the first episode. Don't forget, he was on season 1. So he comes back as like a little guest appearance. I did a review of House of Villains season 1. You can go check that out. The link in the show notes. I talked about how I liked the guest villains, but I felt like they didn't have a big enough role. And this time around, the 3 winners or whatever, they go to Jax's bar in Studio City. And I'm like, this is the reward? felt more like a punishment. But Jax is there and he's like giving his advice, which is hilarious because he was the first one out in season 1. This was an awful prize. But his face when he heard that New York was back, he looked like he was gonna cry again. Like she did in season 1 after she called him a demon. He's like, demon? I'm a good Christian father. Oh my gosh, so funny. But also, as I mentioned earlier, Across the River and Into the Trees with Liev Schreiber, the live digital premiere. Go get your tickets for October 19th. Make sure you subscribe, follow, share, like, leave a comment and 5-star review for Bravo and Blaze on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to follow on social media at Bravo and Blaze. Check out new episodes of Bravo and Blaze every Friday and Patreon on Mondays, but also keep your eye out for bonus episodes like our interview with an attorney tomorrow to discuss all our legal questions around Diddy. Did he do it? Did he did it? Thank you all for being here. Until next time, stay lit, y'all.